Yet we are supposed to believe that
That's
you are
false.
the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now.
Kash, first of all, check your tone. I'll check your tone. She not one of your little friends. She ain't one of your little friends. You think she look like Boo Boo the Fool? She didn't ask you a question. A hard head make a soft tail. You smelling yourself now. You smelling yourself. I hope you know that schoolwork like you know them songs. And when we get in this store, don't touch nothing. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled.
A resolution that came before the House this past week honoring Charlie Kirk. And there were 58 Democrats who voted against it. You were one.
Yeah,
why?
Absolutely. You know what? One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place. So to me, just like we wanted to make sure that those Confederate relics were taken down, the idea of a new age relic being propped up was something that I just could not subscribe to. And it is unfortunate that more of my colleagues, even on my side of the aisle, could not see the amount of harm that this man was attempting to inflict upon our communities.
Now, what she's referring to is the House approving a Charlie Kirk resolution in a bipartisan vote. This happened back on Friday. The resolution was approved a week after the assassination. Democratic leaders and nearly 100 rank and file Democrats joined Republicans to adopt the measure on a 310 to 58 vote. The ceremonial measure, introduced by Speaker Mike Johnson, condemns the murder and praises Kirk as a courageous American patriot who boldly lived out his faith with conviction, courage, and compassion. It also calls upon all Americans, regardless of race, party affiliation, or creed, to reject political violence, recommit to respectful debate, uphold American values, and respect one another as fellow Americans. And if you want to know the current trick bag that Republicans have placed Democrats in, it is combining all Americans, regardless of race, party affiliation, or creed, to reject political violence and recommit to respectful debate, along with praising Kirk as a courageous American patriot who boldly lived out his faith with conviction, courage, and compassion. Y'all not slick. Y'all are not slick at all. One of the things I find so troubling about this, though. So Jasmine Crockett mentioned Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, and I want to give a shout out to the Seneca Project for gathering all this together. If you go to their page, they have a video that runs very deep and very long.
If I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. It begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. And in the spirit of affirmative action, we have Ramon and Cadillac are your 2 pilots. They've never flown before, but they are black. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
And yet that rhetoric wasn't enough for not only some black members to decide to vote for the resolution honoring Charlie Kirk, but some white members to vote alongside the Republicans. That's not the kind of allyship that we've been talking about this whole time. Now, there were some others that stood up.
We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant. And accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans, far from the working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority in this resolution.
And yet we get AOC intentionally misquoted Charlie Kirk on the House floor to paint him as an ignorant and uneducated person. Well, let's see.
There's no such thing as white privilege or racism. So black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. Black people can go up and say that there's a baby mama problem in Black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oh, I just did. So what are you gonna do? Cancel me? Black people are allowed to say. Black people are allowed to say.
I'm a grown man. I got way
Black
too much
people
to
are
worry
allowed.
about.
Skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King.
Now, what troubles me deeply is not what Charlie Kirk said, because that was known to me. It certainly is a resolution being passed to honor him, and only getting 58 people who heard what I just heard and deemed it to be problematic. That is deeply troubling. But also, we have reached a point in our media where the question is being asked of Jasmine Crockett to explain why she didn't vote to honor a man who said that about her and her people. And CNN weren't the only ones. Here we get how this was characterized widely. Crockett defends vote against resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. Every Democrat who voted against Charlie Kirk resolution, yes, they should all be identified. That's well done, Newsweek. And then, of course, from Fox News, Charlie Kirk vote splits Democrats, prompting hypocrisy outcry from the House GOP. Americans won't forget. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Because in pushing this through, they've already forgotten about literally all of the things that Charlie Kirk said. But that was a nice try, though.
So meanwhile, you obviously feel very strongly about the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk used, that you find objectionable, and also from others in the MAGA movement. As the memorial service for him is going to happen later today, there is a debate over heated rhetoric on all sides. And
Listen, whether it's heated or not, the fact is Charlie Kirk should still be here. It should not have been that there was political violence that resulted because of the words that were coming out of his mouth, just like plenty of MAGA hates when I mention white supremacy, which kind of tells you where MAGA stands. But nevertheless, they get very upset when I talk about white supremacy. But that doesn't mean that somebody should then try to find a bullet or try to find a knife and harm me. Not in America. That's not who we are supposed to be.
Well, let me ask you, because I do want to play a couple of statements that you made earlier this year.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we have someone that is occupying the White House, and as far as I'm concerned, he is an enemy to the United States. They want to show that they are loyal to this, I don't even know what to call him. I've called him so many things, but this wannabe Hitler for sure.
And to be clear, the president has attacked, other people have attacked you in his orbit, maybe not him personally. But do you have a responsibility as an elected official not to raise the temperature, but rather lower the temperature, particularly when there are people out there who listen to elected officials all over the place who are not well, who use that as a way to instigate the political violence that you were calling out.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
American politics today is between these far-left fascists led by Harris and her group. We have a fascist person running who's incompetent. She's a Marxist, communist, fascist, socialist. She's not actually a socialist. She's gone past that. Somebody's got to explain this woman. There's a radical left Marxist, communist, fascist. It is the enemy from within, and they're very dangerous. They're Marxists and communists and fascists. And it's a choice between communism and freedom. No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. This is communist, this is Marxist, this is fascist. It's the enemy from within. That's a bigger enemy than China and Russia. If Comrade Kamala Harris gets 4 more years, you will be living a full-blown banana republic ruled by an anarchy and a tyranny. They're scum. They're scum. And they want to take down our country. They are absolute garbage. He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent. And I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica.
Sorry. That's my bad. That wasn't. Sorry. Go ahead with the interview. Yeah, go ahead and answer, Jasmine.
I think that my responsibility is to be transparent and to be honest. And the reality is that we are living in a time in which this administration and this regime is not interested in making sure that people understand history. We need to understand why they are so problematic. And so I am using that language because it is accurate language. When we see the consolidation of power, when we see them trying to chill speech of jokesters, when we're seeing all of this, that is a playbook out of Hitler, and I won't deny it. Like, these are the facts. But one of the things that I've never done that the president has done consistently is called specifically for violence. He has said, oh, beat that one up. He has said those types of things. We know that Charlie Kirk was saying things about who should live and who should die. I have never said those kinds of things. And I think that those things are the ones that are really, really dangerous. And even still, some of that will still be protected. We know that we still have laws that are on the book that certain speech is not protected, that it does cross over when you are inciting violence, such as what we saw on January 6th, when you are doing what we consider to be a terroristic threat of some sort, where it's a matter of, I'm not just saying it, but I have the apparent ability to carry that out. But me laying out historical facts, just like they don't want to talk about the fact that slavery was real in this country and that my people were enslaved and dragged and abused, and they don't want to account for any of that. They don't believe in reparations. No, I think it is okay for me to understand history and communicate in a very clear way about why we should feel as if there is a concern. And when we swear an oath, which is what that first clip was, we swear an oath to the Constitution to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so if there is someone that is evidencing themselves, such as the president, who is going out and says, yes, I will take a $400 million plane from a foreign government, or is engaged in receiving crypto that we cannot track in exchange for, say, giving away chips to Saudi Arabia. No, we absolutely need to understand how these things could cause us harm. Or when he's cozying up to somebody like Vladimir Putin, it's not only a problem for us, but it's a problem for our allies. When you have somebody like Poland that is like, yeah, this is what Russia's up to, and the president is like, oh, that may have just been a mistake. We need to understand what all his business dealings are, even with Russia, because that has the potential of putting us in harm's way.
Now, that was a whole lot to respond to, but a couple of things. One, when you attack history, when you show a desire to push a partisan narrative historically to the point of minimizing the worst we've seen from humanity, well, I can't ignore that when you're trying to divorce yourself from some of the other horrors we've seen historically and how we might see them actually in our future. That makes it a very difficult case for you to make when you want to minimize other atrocities. Then as far as the accuracy of what she's saying vis-a-vis Trump and the playbook,
They say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. Absolutely. This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
He could stand on the front steps of the White House and commit murder, and I'm with him.
If he says it, then I'll go with it. And if he wants to be a dictator, then so be it.
America's going to become hungry because look what Viktor Orban did. He controlled the courts and the judiciary, and he controlled the media. The counter that I've heard from some smart people is, no, look at the corruption, and anyway, the American system will hold. The American system will hold. But if you make it hard to file those lawsuits, how does the White House get held to account?
Yeah. Those gonna be some hard allegations to beat. You know, not under this Justice Department, but in a, fictional, operable American Justice Department, those would be some hard allegations to beat. No, we've seen exactly what it is from Kash.
I definitely take issue with a number of decisions that Donald Trump makes, especially when it comes to the people that he decides to appoint to very important positions, including this one, because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real, because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining, yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now,
Kash, first of all, check your tone. I'll check your tone. She not one of your little friends. She ain't one of your little friends. You think she look like Boo Boo the Fool? She didn't ask you a question. A hard head make a soft tail. You smelling yourself now. You smelling yourself. I hope you know that schoolwork like you know them songs. And when we get in this store, don't touch nothing.
Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday.
Oh, he had a whole lot to say to Senator Booker. He had a lot to say to Cory Booker. But in front of Jasmine, he fixed his face.
Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes, sir. That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my time.
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
to not take responsibility for what you have said.
Time.
Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be the charge of the FBI,
not going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
But let's go through some of your failures. So before you were even confirmed, and I think one of my colleague from Georgia, pointed out that you were already targeting career officials so that you could direct illegal firings. Mind you, these cases that you were so upset about, which are the ones tied to Trump, the cases came through his handpicked FBI director. And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, we're happy because now we feel safe, I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically as a Black woman definitely don't feel safe. And frankly, my colleagues have been real nice to you today, and I applaud them, but I don't have the same demeanor because I know that multiple colleagues on this side of the aisle have faced death threats. In fact, somebody tried to kill one of my colleagues, and frankly, I don't know if this FBI or under your leadership
if those people would have been caught. I don't have any confidence in you. And if we start talking about the reasons that I lack confidence, we could start with you not just wanting to acknowledge some simple facts. Simple facts like the vast majority of the threats are coming from right-wing extremism. And I know my colleagues have tried to stress this, but I decided that I would maybe do it in a different way. Number one, I have a couple of UCs. Kim Buck, one of multiple Republicans receiving death threats for voting against Jim Jordan as House Speaker.
Without objection.
Another one, Republican lawmaker says she received death threats after voting against Jim Jordan in Speaker's race.
Without objection.
In addition, there was another one from another colleague who now is leaving Congress because they said that they were calling his wife anonymously and threatening her life to the extent that she ended up sleeping with a firearm.
Without objection.
You heard it. You heard it.
Okay, so here's the deal. How are we supposed to have confidence when you're sitting up here telling the Senate yesterday that it will take you 14 years before you can get the FBI fully staffed to do their jobs? You're also now redirecting resources so that they can go and play ICE agents on the streets. You're getting rid of your most qualified people. And even when it came down to somebody that you consider to be a friend, you were posted up having some fancy dinner to the extent that you posted not only once erroneously, you posted twice erroneously as it relates to catching somebody, and then you want to go and say, let me take a victory lap, because honestly, if it wasn't for parents deciding that they were going to turn in their child, it seems like y'all wouldn't have got there.
Hell no.
Even though he literally confessed online. So I'm confused about what it is that the FBI is doing except for trying to put on a show for The Apprentice, or whatever you want to call him.
God damn!
The day after all of this took place, there was domestic terrorism that was taking place at HBCUs. They were targeted. Yet I didn't hear anything from the FBI about what was going on. And again, black people kept saying, how did we end up in this? Because the numbers are so very clear that white supremacy is a problem. And honestly, I've not heard anything out of you today that makes me believe that you're going to do anything about the white supremacy problem. The one that is leading to children being killed, children being shot, as well as members of their community as they're worshiping in their churches.
Now, Jasmine Crockett wasn't the only one that was confused about the FBI's move. I had a whole video about the right wing calling them out, especially about those text messages. Yeah. Some of those calls coming from inside the house, Kash, but as far as the white supremacy, also calling from inside the house, that's going to be a busy party line. As far as the white supremacy is concerned, if anybody going to call out the hypocrisy of the right-wing party of law and order, you know it's going to be Jazzy.
I want you to tell me whether or not it's lawful or lawless ignoring court orders.
That's lawless.
Impounding congressional funds.
Violates the law.
Invoking emergency powers when there is no emergency.
Unlawful.
Sending troops without an invite.
Violates the law.
Covering for pedophiles. I just threw that one in there. Okay, I'll move to the next one.
Oh no, you good. We picked it. We picked it up. We got it. Mm-hmm.
What about revoking birthright citizenship?
Violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
How about violating due process?
Violates the 5th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
How about what we see happening with redistricting that would in some way minimize, if not delete, the voices of people of color as they are going through and illegally going through this process? Is there a constitutional amendment that you can think of that is associated with that?
Probably many, but it is unlawful and unconstitutional and un-American.
Thank you. As well as, can you tell me if it is lawful or lawless to violate free speech?
That's lawless.
Okay, sounds about right, because, you know, we had to have a conversation about Jimmy Kimmel, so I'm going to say free Jimmy Kimmel.
We can run that back. She can say that again.
But the reason that I wanted to go through that long list, and that was actually not even the half of it, is because since this administration has come in on January 20th, they have engaged in some form of every single thing that I said on that list, even the part about covering for pedophiles.
So my question is, why are we sitting here today? Number one, they already passed their bootleg laws, and it's clear that even the bill author is not well informed about what his bill does. Because as has already been stated, at the age of 18, you are an adult. So this idea that somehow 21-year-olds were now somehow juveniles under DC law, is that accurate or inaccurate?
It was inaccurate, misunderstood the way the law works.
Correct. Could not understand how to read the law and decided that they were going to rewrite the law and mess up the law. And to be clear, we were talking about judges being able to have enough discretion to decide whether or not they were going to give someone an opportunity maybe to clean their record, such as the bill author was given that opportunity under Florida law because his second felony was picked up when he was 21, to be clear. So he was older than 18.
Byron Donalds won't say who those people are, but blames them for revealing his criminal past. It's been posted on the internet after it was ordered sealed by the courts. A 1997 misdemeanor arrest for distribution of marijuana, and in 2000, a second-degree felony for receiving a bribe.
And under this law, if you were under, 25, so 24 or under, then the judges had discretion, correct?
Hey, Byron, she talking about you. She's talking about you. Oh, we all know about the record. We all know about the record. In fact, I think she got a whole video all about you. You just might want to come, pay attention to this, because this whole double standard between how you live and how you're allowing other people that look like you to live is coming to light.
Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up not once but twice.
Lord have mercy.
Imagine standing in front of a judge with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean. You get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into promotion. You go to college, you get a job, and even become a member of Congress. That's what redemption looks like. That's what America is supposed to be about. And that is exactly the story of the next wannabe governor from Florida. As a young man, he went through pretrial diversion for misdemeanor marijuana possession. As an adult, yet younger than 24, he was charged with and ultimately placed on probation for felony bribery charges, which ultimately were 2 expunged. He was given a third chance, and now he's the face of a bill that would not afford young people in Washington, D.C. the same opportunities afforded to him. Let me be real. If he had grown up under Donald Trump's America or under the very D.C. crime bill he's pushing today, he wouldn't be standing here as a member of Congress. He'd still be living with the weight of those charges. So let's call this what it is, opportunities for me, but not for thee. He climbed the ladder of redemption, and now he's yanking it right up from the D.C. youth. See, most of us were taught to lift as you climb, but clearly some have forgotten to lift as they climb, and now they are committed to telling the next generation to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I will not sit quiet while a man who was saved by grace turns around and tries to snatch grace away from others. If we're going to be real about crime, about communities,
time
about...
has expired. I'd like to yield for an additional minute, please. The gentlewoman is recognized.
About second chances and even third chances, then it needs to start with us looking in the mirror and remembering that even the author of this bill has a story too before he tries to lecture DC on safety. And it would be complete hypocrisy to have, hypothetically, someone convicted of 34 felonies to lecture DC on what to do with youthful offenders who have been scientifically shown not to have fully developed brains under the age of 25. Especially if said multi-count convicted felon was in his 70s when he was convicted. What would be his excuse?
In a jurisdiction that's not even your own. But states' rights, though.
We were talking about judges being able to have enough discretion to decide whether or not they were going to give someone an opportunity maybe to clean their record, such as the bill author was given that opportunity under Florida law because his second felony was picked up when he was 21, to be clear. So he was older than 18. And under this law, if you were under, 25, so 24 or under, then the judges had discretion, correct?
But only in certain kinds of cases, not the most serious cases. And in fact, that discretion was, as we know, exercised very rarely. And it would have been an opportunity had the Congress wanted to talk with the folks who are involved in applying that law and seeing how it works to understand that this is not a law that's out of sync with other states and it's working.
Thank you so much. And the reason that it matters is because now the gentleman from Florida is trying to become a governor, and chances are maybe D.C., once they get statehood, could have had a future governor that had a second chance. But since they don't want other people to have chances that they've been given, they want to just pretend like they are bigger and better and badder than. So I will move on.
God damn!
Because I am frustrated that we are having this hearing when we know that this administration can't take care of their own business. As we know, they recently illegally bombed yet another Venezuelan boat, and we may be headed for a war. We know that this particular president has decided that he wants to shake down people as relates to the First Amendment, because he has filed not one lawsuit, not two lawsuits, but he has filed numerous lawsuits. He filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. He filed one against the Wall Street Journal, against CBS, against ABC, against the Des Moines Register. He is doing all of this because he wants to quash any speech that is not appreciative or lauding him, which is pretty much anything that's factual.
Now, Jasmine Crockett is out here cooking, but let's also know that Trump's own words verify everything that she's saying. His own words. You want the spoken word or you want the true social? What you want?
That's something that should be talked about for licensing too. When you have a network and you have evening shows and all they do is hit Trump, that's all they do. If you go back, I guess they haven't had a conservative on in years or something, somebody said. But when you go back and you take a look, all they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. Thank you, everybody.
So let's talk a few facts about these January 6 felons that should still be incarcerated because they went through the process, but because they were doing things on his behalf, of course, he wanted to let them go. So they released more than 1,000 people who participated in the insurrection on this government, many of whom had previous criminal records, like Mr. Theodore Mendenforth, who was convicted of predatory criminal assault of a child, or Mr. Peter Schwartz, who had 38 prior convictions, including one where he beat his wife by repeatedly punching and biting her. Trump also pardoned Mr. David Daniel, who was convicted of production and possession of child pornography. Trump also pardoned Mr. Daniel Ball, who, quote, threw an explosive device that detonated upon at least 25 officers during the Capitol riot. He also had a record for, quote, domestic violence by strangulation.
That is absolutely.
I'm not done. Trump also pardoned Mr. Andrew Taki, who sent nudes to an undercover law enforcement officer who was posing as a 15-year-old girl. Mr. Casey Hopkins also received a pardon from Trump, and Mr. Hopkins was convicted of forcible. According to court records, he, quote, had forcible intercourse with the victim, choked her to the point of impairing her vision, banged her head into a wall, and into the victim's mouth as he humiliated her. These are the people that he decided to release in the streets of D.C. So if anybody does need to clean up D.C., I would agree it is this man, because he is the one that is causing half the crime that we have. Not only is he participating in the crime, but we know that he instigated the insurrection. And if I did say that I had one issue with the Biden-Harris administration, it is the fact that they did not move forward and make sure that this man was put where he should have been put. Because the last time I checked, respect as a criminal defense attorney. And Mr. Attorney General, you may have a different experience, but I never had a defendant that had 34 convictions for felonies and did not spend 1 day in jail. Never in my life. And the last time I checked, the party of law and order is the only one that decided that they would be out of order and decided to nominate someone who was not only indicted but was actually convicted of multiple felonies. That has never happened in this country, and it is a shame that we are dealing with it now, and now he wants to tell y'all how to do your jobs.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions at all? That's the woman that you want to press about why you didn't vote for the amendment on Charlie Kirk, who said what he said about you while this is going on. Admit it by their own actions and their own words. And as far as her bringing up the J6 pardon defendants continually and going into those crimes is exactly what should be done time and time and time again. Just like Epstein. Because that is the lens to view all of this through. Now, specifically, we're talking about DC and the kinds of laws they're trying to pass for kids who look like me, my kids, growing up in DC, while this is what they allow for themselves. There's no other way to process it but through the lens of their own actions. That is the case for the Charlie Kirk referendum. That is the case for the clampdowns on free speech. That is the case for these law and order overreaches you are seeing nationwide. That is the case for everything. And shout out to Jasmine Crockett for making it so. She should have more company. Thank you guys so much for watching the video and supporting the channel. Obviously, in this time of heightened political tension, communities like we have created here on the channel are even more important. And I am extremely grateful to have this space to grow and share and learn together alongside you guys. And I would like to invite you to come be a part of that community, whether that's just jumping in the comments and letting me know what you think of the content, sending me suggestions at admin@reesewaters.com, and of course, subscribing to the page and becoming a member. Also, we do lives once a week, so you can always be on the lookout for those live notifications, as well as me premiering all of my videos. So if you want to come check out the videos and chat alongside myself and the mods and all of the characters that have been created here on the channel, I would love to have you. I also will once again like to thank all of the people whose hard work has gone into making this channel grow and thrive in the way that it has. The mods have definitely been through it. I can say that. Definitely in the last week, they've been through it. And I am so happy to have you guys be stewards of this community and keeping it safe for everyone. And of course, Miss Ray for keeping everybody organized and making sure we're getting the word out, as well as Regina for helping me keep track of a pretty insane news cycle. Everybody who has pitched in, I want to say a sincere thank you. And it is because of your efforts that we got a lot more where that came from.